And Madam Speaker, being an omnibus bill, I will only concern myself to a few of them. Madam Speaker, on the onset, I want to say that I support, and if I have any amendments, I shall be presenting them at the Committee of the Whole House, but generally, I do support. Madam Speaker, one of the reasons why I am supporting this omnibus bill is because it seeks to delete the expressions that are contained in Section 146 of the Penal Code, which is Cap 63, and remove some of these provisions that seem discriminatory to people who have mental conditions. Madam Speaker, when we talk about the issue of mental health, most of us, what rings in our heads is the whole Mathare hospital situation. But Madam Speaker, I'd like to put it very clearly that there are so many people who are walking around this town who actually are living with a mental condition. Madam Speaker, this city is replete with people who are managing their mental condition situations. Some may be extreme, while others might be mild. Even in this house, Madam Speaker, I'm not embarrassed to say that we do have members who are actually living a life where they are managing situations like bipolar, Madam Speaker, which is a mental situation. There are people who are trying to manage the different levels of schizophrenia and so on, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, even depression itself is a mental condition. And the Constitution, Madam Speaker, is very clear about discrimination. That no human being, no citizen should be discriminated on account of very many things, up to and including their mental condition. So because of this, Madam Speaker, I do support. Madam Speaker, there is an effort in this omnibus bill to amend the Evidence Act, Cap 80. And this is seeking to expand the definition of the term photograph. Madam Speaker, we are living in the digital age. In fact, we are post-digital age. We are now in the 4th industrial revolution, where we are talking about the whole movement towards artificial intelligence, the robotics, the Internet of Things, and all these are the things that accrue from the 4th industrial revolution. And Madam Speaker, our courts cannot be restrained as they are now when they are seeking to admit evidence in the situation of defining a photograph. Madam Speaker, in a petition matter that I had brought to the courts, probably 15 years ago, 2007, Madam Speaker, I was at pains to get the court to understand that the evidence that I had carried in a compact disc should be admissible, Madam Speaker. And it was evidence that would have changed the course of that matter before the judge. It was evidence that would have proved my case, Madam Speaker, that I actually had won an election and I had captured this very amazing incident that happened at the polling center, caught on tape, produced in court on a DVD, but the courts could not admit it because they are limited in the definition of the evidence that they can admit. So today, Madam Speaker, where we have each and every Kenyan being a potential citizen journalist, one who can capture evidence anywhere on the go, we must redefine some of these terms so that we are up to speed with the technological advances. Madam Speaker, the mover, the leader of majority, was very clear about what we will need to do now to fortify this amendment so that this definition does not fall prey to people who manipulate photos, Madam Speaker. But the assurance here is that the good thing about the digital technology, there is always a digital footprint. If you manipulate a photograph, it does not matter how good you are at Photoshop, there will be a digital footprint embedded in that manipulated image that will prove that it is either an organic real image or it is a manipulated image using any of the softwares available. So, Madam Speaker, I do support the amendment of the Evidence Act, Cap 80, to be able to define the photograph better. Madam Speaker, the Judicta Act is seeking to increase, the amendment on this act is seeking to increase the number of appeal judges. Madam Speaker, you know the problems in your constituency. The clamor for justice, Kenya being as litigious as it is, there are so many cases that are stuck in our courts. And they're not just stuck in our courts because maybe of inefficiency or human error. They're stuck because of the overwhelming amount of cases that have been filed in courts, Madam Speaker. So any effort that seeks to increase the administration of justice to as many people as possible should be supported, Madam Speaker. And it is true, we have been able to take our High Court to as many corners of the country as is possible. That should also be the case for the Court of Appeal. So, Madam Speaker, on the count of increasing the judges in the Court of Appeal to be able to offer as much justice to as many people as possible speaks to the principle of utility, Madam Speaker. The principle of utility talks to us as representatives to be able to bring as much good as possible to as many people as possible. And that is why we have banners, even in this chamber, titling that we are here for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. So, Madam Speaker, I do support the move to amend this Judicta Act to be able to increase the number of judges in the Court of Appeal. In all, Madam Speaker, I'm in support, and for the few changes that I will make on a few of the proposals, I shall be doing that in the third reading at the committee of the whole House. Yes.
Do you want to be informed by Honorable Tom Anthony Oluoch?
This is a great mind, Madam Speaker, and I would want to benefit from the information from my former leader at Kenyatta University.
Honorable Tom Oluoch.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable KJ, and my very good friend from my alma mater then. I just wanted to inform him, and in utmost good faith, because I can see Honorable Rugara already smiling on what I want to inform him